Congratulations! You went out, you took all the classes, you passed your exams, you're ready to jump into real estate. So now what the hell do you do? Something we hear from agents that are brand new industry often is just like, where do we start? What do we do? There's kind of really nothing out there that tells you what you need to do next. So for this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 things that you need to do when you just got your license and you're ready to dive into the real estate industry. Okay? The first one is you got to know where you're going to work. You got to know where you're going to hang your license. This means you're going to have to pick a brokerage. And not every brokerage is created equal. They are all different. And there's even franchises that are different from other franchises with the same name. Take some time and do some research on different brokerages around you. Go interview at them. Talk to the people there. One of the things you really want to focus on is what type of education and mentoring and training do they have for you as a new agent. Most brokerages, they have training programs and education, but not all of them are the same. So you really need to understand what's going to educate you and train you to be a realtor. And really, is there mentorship there for you? Is there support there as you go on in your career? So if you have questions, you have someone to go to. That is vitally important because you're going to have a billion freaking questions when you get started. You got to have a resource for you. And when you're researching them, make sure you're asking these questions. Make sure when you're interviewing, ask what their process is. What's the first 90 days look like if you join? Ask these things up front because you want to make sure you're going to join a brokerage that you're going to be happy at that's really going to be there to support and help you build your business. All right? Number 2, budgeting and expenses. You need to sit down and look at your current financial situation. Understand how much money you have and how much you can dedicate to your business. Remember, you're building a business from scratch. It's going to cost some money. All businesses do when they get started. Plus, you're likely going to have realtor fees to the association, and a lot of brokerages charge fees as well. So you're going to want to know those also. But you're going to want to then sit down and write down what the game plan is for how much money you could dedicate to your business and where are you going to be dedicating that money. Are you going to spend money on marketing? And if so, where are you going to spend it? Do you plan on doing bus benches, marketing on those, which we don't suggest doing, but it's an option. You could do it. It's old school, but it's there. How much is that going to cost? How much can you dedicate to that? So really sit down and understand what the numbers are going to look like. Because one of the biggest issues a lot of agents have and a lot of businesses have is they let their expenses get out of whack, and whatever money they do bring in, which when you're just starting is like zero, they end up spending more than what they're making. And that's how businesses tend to go under. So make sure you really understand your financial situation and your business's financial situation. It's actually a really good tip is to do this at the end of every year. Set your budget up for the next year. I do this between Christmas and New Year's because it usually is the slowest week of the year. All right? Number 3, goal setting. Now, this is so important that we actually dedicate an entire session to it in the NEXT Bluprint mentorship program. We go in depth because you really have to know how to goal set properly, and most people don't. And when it comes to goal setting, this is what's really going to set you up for really a lot of success in the coming years, because if you listen to somebody like a Tony Robbins or any of these other speakers, they always talk about that our brains focus on what we tell them to focus on. So if you are telling your brain to focus on these goals that you have in mind, it's going to point you in that direction, okay? That's why it's very important to sit down and really think about what do you want to achieve. Not just in business, but in life, right? And we highly suggest starting with the long-term goals, okay? Start at the big one and shoot for the stars. If you shoot for the stars and you don't hit them, you're going to still land on the moon. At least that's my philosophy. So start with the big term goals and then work your way backwards, all right? Maybe you want to do 20 million in production in 7 years. Okay, well then what does year 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and your first year look like? All right, maybe you want to buy a car or a house or an engagement ring to propose to your significant other. Start thinking through all those things and write them down. Don't worry about them if they're going to change in the future. That's okay. You could adjust your goals every year. But at least you need to have something to start with. So start by writing down all your goals, long-term and then short-term. Number 4 is arguably, I think, the most important part of building a successful real estate business is building a database and then putting together a plan to market to it. Again, this is something we talk about in the mentorship program because it is just so freaking important for a realtor's business. I mean, this is literally the reason why agents fail in this industry is because they don't have a database together and a plan to market to it. So sit down and try to gather as much people's information as possible. Get their names, emails, phone numbers, addresses, put it all together in one place. Couple cool tips. You could export all your contacts from your social media sites. If you just Google it, it's really easy to do. They'll put it in Excel for you. And also you can do the same thing on your phone. So if you're looking for places to start, to put it together a database, those are the two. Once you get everyone's information together, at least as much as possible, put together a plan to market to it. You need to be hitting these people up on a regular basis. A lot of different coaches and people call this your touch plan, all right? When you're a new agent, highly suggest doing it once a week. Reach out to your database once a week. That's like 50 touches a year. That's incredible. At minimum, plan for 28 to 30, right? And they can be anything. You don't have to do the same stuff. One of the things we talk about in one of our previous blogs is newsletters. That's an awesome thing you could do. Do that once a month. Maybe you make calls or text to your database. Maybe you send out market updates. And hint, social media doesn't count as a touch, okay? These are things you actually have to do. But you want to put together a plan of how you're going to touch these people, right? Again, this is something I do for that last week of the year between Christmas and New Year's. I just write out my plan for the entire year. You know, what am I going to send out newsletters? Am I going to send out postcards, calendars, market updates? Like, I just wrote it all out. And then I put those on my calendar as reminders, and boom, I hardly ever missed a day. And I was able to build a very successful business just by doing that. I didn't spend a lot of money on marketing. I put my money into my database, and it wasn't a lot, and it ended up helping me become successful because of it. So build a database and market to it. And the 5th thing, number 5, got to touch on it. Again, we touch on this in the mentorship program as well. A whole session dedicated to social media. Social media is like the God-sent thing for a realtor to market themselves for like no cost. The internet changed the world 30 plus years ago. Social media put the internet on steroids for realtors. You can now market yourself to an unlimited amount of people for no cost. Yeah, it takes effort. It does take effort. And you have to understand how to do it. But the coolest thing is it's free. And when you're a brand new agent, free is like the greatest word ever. So put together a plan of how you're going to use social media. You know, you're going to post it on every day. Are you going to post it every other day? Are you going to put videos out? Like, what's your content look like? Put a content calendar together, something that you can stick by and you're going to want to do, and start marketing yourself to your people. Remember, the more times people see your name in real estate, the more times they're going to reach out to you, okay? So those are 5 things to get you started when you are just getting into real estate. One thing we do want to mention, though, is have patience. Building a real estate business takes time. There's no such thing as overnight success in this industry, all right? But if you stick with it, you could be part of the 13% that survive past their first 5 years.